As the bodies are recovered and identified and the investigation continues, families and friends of the victims are coping with grief. For more on this, we're joined by Russell Friedman, a grief counselor and the executive director of the Grief Recovery Institute. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome, Elaine.
You know, there are still so many families who haven't been able to bury their loved ones, and there's a possibility some may never be able to do that. How can they navigate and address the grieving process?
This is the most difficult thing, especially for MH17, the lost flight that hasn't been found yet. One of the elements of our human condition is the need to have visual confirmation for the auditory information we've gotten. So we hear or we're led to believe that someone has died or something has happened, but we need to see it. It's why most cultures have open caskets or a way of viewing the body. And so the MH17 that's lost, those families are in a very different situation. Many of them will have difficulty even starting to grieve because their brains will hold on to a hope that they will still be alive, and that will delay what they may need to do. Whereas the MH17 families with the bodies now in the Netherlands, most will be able to be ID'd directly or through DNA. So we have a different situation for the two sets of families as to when they can really get down to work to help complete their grief and restart their lives, although their lives will be dramatically different.
And with MH17, you know, if that particular tragedy is never assigned blame or the questions of who was responsible are never answered, will those families ever be able to resolve their grief or find closure as well?
You know, you're absolutely right, Elaine. There's an odd parallel between the missing people and the missing knowledge. But here's how, you know, when we get to help people, we got to teach them that the cause of death, no matter how important it is secondary to the fact that someone died. It is the fact that someone dies that breaks our heart, and the work we have to do individually to deal with the loss is about that they are gone. The sad question is, would you miss them any less if they had died some other way? And if you find out how or why they were killed or where the bodies are, does that make you feel any less bad? So the intellectual facts about a loss are one thing. The bottom line is that our hearts are broken and we have to deal with that. And that's the issue, getting those people willing and able to deal with their broken hearts, whether or not they ever find the plane or find the reason in the second one.
Well, and you mentioned facts, so without that fact or knowledge, does that prolong the process?
It can. That's a brilliant conjecture because I've been able to help people, I've been doing this for 28 years, who never have any facts, no information, and I can help them get emotionally complete by doing work that is about their relationship with the person who died, not only with their relationship to how or when they died. The key is a lifelong relationship with someone more than just a relationship to their death. It's a missing element, a missing piece, but doesn't forego the possibility of recovery or emotional repair.
We saw some video earlier of the Dutch and Malaysian prime ministers meeting, and you know, they're representing a lot of people here who lost someone. They're trying to advocate for access, trying to help these families out, get some answers. Do you think that they're doing a good job in handling this tragedy in terms of advocating or showing a good support for these families?
You know, it depends. If I were there, obviously without being there, I can't tell how they're interacting with them. So much of what will happen between the helper and the helpee will involve tone and language and style, as opposed to the intellectual content. If someone feels someone cares about them and the results, that may go a long way to ameliorating some of the missing facts and so on. The other issue is that intervention doesn't work very well in grief. You can't force someone to do emotional work if they don't want to. And often in these situations, there's kind of an intervention of counseling when people just want to go into their inner circle with people they know and talk about their relationship with the person who died, and not with the media, not with strangers, and not even with me. I may be expert, but they don't know me.
All right, Russell Friedman, Executive Director of the Grief Recovery Institute, thank you so much for joining us from Los Angeles.